What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I have been on a creative kick recently, and more ideas for random enchants have been flooding my brain, so I wanted to put out yet another video going over a few more random enchants I have come up with. These random enchants are going to be pretty wild, so let's just get this thing started. Remember that it only takes a few seconds, but subscribing below and leaving a like will get this video out to as many people as possible. Let's dive into the video. Everyone who has seen my last video might have caught on to the fact I think there is a lot of untapped potential in the world of random enchants. The League 3 Mal'Ganis server has brought in a few cool new REs, but there's just so much that could be done that is not being taken advantage of. I love the game and the production team of Project Ascension, and these videos are just meant to be a wish list sort of things I would personally like to see implemented into the game. Let's start off with the first legendary RE. This one's for all the Zug boys and girls out there. Better late than never. All damage dealt to enemies is reduced by 99%. Every ability, spell, or attack made against an enemy instead applies a stack of time dilation to the target. Each stack of time dilation makes the enemy take 1% more damage from time dilation per stack, stacking infinitely. Time dilation deals 100% of the ability, spell, or attack's damage when the stack was applied to the target over 15 seconds. You may not have any other damage over time effects on enemies if that enemy has a stack of time dilation. Time dilation deals transcendental damage, which is a type of damage that is unaffected by resistances and will benefit from the highest modifier from any school of damage. Monsters can only have one source of time dilation on them at any given time. Enemies can only gain a stack of time dilation once every second. So before anyone goes off and says, this will be too broken, yes, I know this probably has the highest potential to absolutely obliterate the balance of the game if abused properly. But hear me out, okay? I love damage over time builds. They are by far my favorite type of DPS build in any game I play. I don't understand why or how I learned to love them so much, but I just really do. This random enchant is my idea for the ultimate damage over time, play for the long game type of random enchant that I could think of. This is my thought process behind it. I would love to see a build that has the potential to be far and away better than anything else in the game, given the fight has the duration to accommodate it. For fights that have a strict, super fast enrage timer, this build would obviously not work the best. But for fights that last for a longer amount of time, this type of build would be the penultimate war of attrition spec to play. Your raid leader and DPS meter might not be super happy at the start of the fight, but given enough time, you will be single-handedly carrying your team to the victory. And with the inability to have more than one of these in your raid or group, this would encourage those players who like to play the long game and would really let that one lucky guy or girl per week to feel like an absolute god amongst men. Moving on to a healer random enchant. Most people don't care about healer builds, but I absolutely love healing, so damn it, I'm gonna make a healing random enchant. Friendly Fire. Your hunter abilities can now be cast on your allies. Instead of dealing damage, they now heal your target, and each ability cast on an ally increases your healing spell power by 5% of your ranged attack power, stacking up to 5 times. If you have a bow equipped, your arrows fracture upon hitting an ally, allowing your abilities to heal up to 4 additional targets within 10 yards of your target hit. If you have a gun equipped, your bullets bolster your target's spirit, increasing their healing taken from your abilities by 10%. The concept of a hunter-type healer really isn't anything new. I've seen other games have similar concepts of a ranged DPS-based healer class, but I really do think this would be a cool thing to see in Project Ascension. That being said, having the ability to modify how you interact with a hunter-healer spec by which weapon you have equipped, I think could have a massive impact on the styles of builds you could experiment with. If you want to play a healing over time based single target healing spec, you could look into scaling things like Explosive Arrow, Black Arrow, or things that deal damage over time like Immolation Trap. If you want to be an AoE based healer, you could heavily spec into volley using a bow with massive attack speed and spam the raid with tons of tiny heals. It would be awesome to see a truly different type of healer spec, and I think hunters would be a prime candidate to see something like this come to life. The last random enchant I have in mind is another one for the DPS players, but maybe not in the way you might think. Delusionary Visions. You learn the ability Delusion of the Minds, that when cast upon an ally, you are both inextricably linked together until one of you perish in combat. Whenever a healing spell is cast upon you from your linked partner, the heal is instead redirected to the enemy. When your target is healed in this way, the enemy takes extra damage from the next ability or spell used on them equal to the amount that would have healed the original target for. When either of the two linked minds dies, the other player's mind will shatter, causing them to go into a psychotic frenzy. The player under this frenzy effect will gain 25% haste, deal 50% more damage, and lose 10% of their health every second until they link minds with another ally. You cannot link minds with more than one other person at a time. The concept behind this random enchant is to create a tag team mentality within your own raid group, creating these pseudo hit squads within your raid. I originally thought of this RE to make your healing spells just also deal damage, but that turned out to not only be boring, but in the end would create a scenario where if it was too strong, then there would be no need to bring any other healing spec. So to bring a quote-unquote DPS focused healing spec into Project Ascension, I came up with this one, where you are indirectly dealing damage by making your partner just deal the damage for both of you combined. There is a distinct lack of random enchants in the game that have a potentially insane benefit, but also with a massive downside. And I think the second part of this RE would fill that niche perfectly. Yes, you turn into a literal beast of a DPS, but the amount of damage you take per second would be an immense strain on your healing team. Having this raving lunatic running around your raid, tearing everything apart in sight until another healer could essentially tame them by relinking their minds together, bringing stability back to that player would be an insanely fun and flavorful way to play around with it. If you could somehow find a way to keep this one player alive while they're under that psychotic fury effect, might be a viable long-term strategy for downing bosses, but could go very wrong very quickly. I want something in-game that introduces an element of high-risk, high-reward gameplay to the raiding scene of Project Ascension. Alright everyone, that is it for this video. What did you all think of these ideas? I think these are probably my most outlandish ideas for any random enchants to date, but hey, I'm the only person right now making videos like this, so might as well make them silly as hell sometimes, right? And with that, this video is done. Subscribe below for more content. I will see you in the next one.